Good morning, everyone. Ira Feuerstein here with Insights with Ira. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. People are coming in from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all over social media, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So today, we have an amazing insights for you today. We're going to be talking about how to become a change master in your business. And that's, I think that's more important now than it's ever been before. Just some housekeeping things. Number one, you're all muted, obviously, but there is a chat option. So if you chat from any of those social platforms, it will flow in here. I see people are already using it, and I'll be able to take a look at those and respond to those. And if you're lucky, if you have a really great comment, I may even put it up on the screen for everyone to see. Let's see if you'll be that lucky person today. But let's get started. So first of all, a little bit about me. My name is Ira Feuerstein. I help channel partners and business owners make technology decisions and scale their businesses. I used to work for a company called Nextiva, fantastic voice over IP company. I was fortunate enough there to build around $100 million a year recurring business, all voice over IP, helping businesses all across the United States make sound decisions on their technology for their phone systems. Now I'm out on my own, and my role is to exponentially grow your business. Now, you may be a technology consultant and you're looking for somebody to help you grow your business. I'm that guy. You may be excuse me, you may be just a business owner or a CIO, and you're looking to make better tech decisions in your business. I can help bring those technologies to you, help you vet as an unbiased person and help you make those decisions on technology. So, any way you want to work with me, I can work with you. And today we're going to talk about becoming a change master in your business. And, if you think about it, you look at businesses today and forget even about business personally. We're going through a lot of things. We had this whole COVID thing, and I think people sometimes either push off making changes to themselves or to their businesses, but they already know they need to make them. So the question is, why? Why is that? Why is it the fact that people won't make the changes? They're so content where they're at. So we're going to answer some of those questions today. And I've got a fantastic guest. I'm going to bring him in on video here. I'm going to do a little intro, but I'm going to let Barry do the grand thing. But I'm going to bring Barry Moltz in. He's a business change expert. Hello, Barry. Good to see you again. So I've known Barry for a long, long time, and we've been great friends, and he's been a great mentor to me in a lot of different ways. He is a small business a business expert, business change expert. He's got tremendous background. He's written a bunch of books. He's got a new one coming out very soon called Change Master, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Barry, I want you to talk a little bit about your background, kind of tell people kind of where you came from, what you've done, what your specialties are. I can tell you one thing. I was watching Marcus Lemonis one night, and I saw this freaking guy on the show helping some business owner try to grow his business, and that guy did not want to make changes.
Yeah, it was hard.
Doubt.
Well, Ira, I appreciate having me on the show. First of all, I love Mary Tom's comment where she says, Ira, you're so cool. Thanks for the invite. I only hope to be as cool as you are one day. So I think that's right. I just hope that Mary Tom thinks that. No, listen, I've been a small business owner for a lot of years. My first business went out of business. My second business, I was kicked out by my partners a couple weeks before my first son was born. Then the third business I started, I was lucky enough during the internet bubble of 99 to sell that business, pay back the bank the $1.3 million I owed them. And my wife tells me I got her back just about the same time. So from that time, my wife said, listen, if you want to stay together, no more starting small businesses. So I was an angel investor 5 years. And now I help small business owners get unstuck. Because for most of us, we've had some success in our business, but we haven't gotten to exactly where we thought stuck in different areas. And one of them is change.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get in. Let's dive in. So why do business owners tend to not make the necessary changes? Like it happens all the time. Why is that?
It's a great question because the reason I wrote this book is that, people would hire me as a consultant to come into their business and help them change. So we sit down for days, weeks, months, whatever it was. We put together a plan for change, very, very detailed. They agreed that if they make these changes, they'd be able to grow their business, make more money, whatever their goals were. And then we say, okay, let's start. And almost then nothing ever happened. People did not make those changes. And so I kept on feeling bad, like these people are wasting their money. They're hiring me for change, but they're not making the changes they already know they need to make. I'm not trying to convince you to make changes, but certain changes you got to make in your business, but we hold it back. Why does it happen? Well, because your brain is a pattern making machine, right? It doesn't want change. The expression, Ira, the devil you know is the devil you don't know. Your brain thinks, well, I got to this point and I didn't die and it's not so horrible. So I want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And quite honestly, making a change is hard. And most of us would rather just be on autopilot.
Yeah, and it reminds me, I don't know if I'm getting the quote right, but it's like something like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results, right?
Albert Einstein. Yep. That's right. Exactly. And that's the insane. We keep doing the same things over again. We have to realize we have to do something different, but it is scary because again, why do many of us outside of business, why do many of us stay in relationships we're not really happy with, whether that's personal business relationship, because people only change when they're in an incredible amount of pain. And even that, a lot of times they don't make that change.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so like talking about that, let's move on to kind of what do you think are the biggest obstacles to making a change? What stops people?
I think it's mostly Ira fear of the unknown. At least if I'm doing something, I know what the results are and I know it's bad. I kind of adapt to those bad results, or I can, explain them away. But once you make the change, you really don't know what is on the other side of the change. So fear holds us back. And I think it's a huge problem because in business, there's a lot of things to be afraid of. And this is just another one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If kind of thinking along those lines, in a business, generally, we already know these people are generally reluctant to change. But like in business specifically, what are some of the areas that yield the best results with change? Like what's the low-hanging fruit for these people?
Well, I think the first one you can change is really the way you work, your own personal productivity, right? I mean, most of us just work through interruptions, right? We don't spend any solid time working on what we want to work on. Everything just gets interrupted and we don't set specific goals, 1 or 2 goals for that day. So that's something we can immediately have an impact on. The other areas where people really focus on changes, one is sales and marketing. People only do marketing when they have no sales, but as soon as they get sales, they stop doing marketing. So that's a problem we all know. And the second thing is on leadership and management. We don't bring the right people into our companies, and we're not able to make that leap from when we start a company where it's hub and spoke, where the entrepreneur's in the middle, and then everyone works around them, to something that's more hierarchical. We don't give people real responsibility. We kind of sort of want to make all the decisions ourselves. So those are the 2 or 3 areas where people really can have the biggest impact on their change. And then of course there's money, managing your money, checking your financial statements.
Yeah, of course. One of the things I work on, especially with technology consultants around the country, partners, is, trying to get them, because businesses are so heads down are working inside their business, but not working on their business.
Right.
And I think it's important for people to take away from this. You need to have some time working on your business too. And that's maybe having somebody who can hold you accountable, who can make you just step aside for an hour and look at the business from the outside in and figure out where are these places that you can make tiny infinitesimal changes that could yield the best results. And I think once you do that, doesn't it become easier?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a very, very important point, Ira. Make small changes, because too many times people try to make two leaps for large changes. Or when they retell the story, it seems like they made this huge change, but successful change happens incrementally a little bit at a time. I mean, think about most people join a health club in the United States on January 1st. That first week, they go 5 days a week. Then the next week, they go 4 days a week. Then the following week, they go 3 days a week. And by the end of the month, they quit because they've tried to do too much at one time. Where change starts is trying to make the smallest possible change, see what the results are, and then make the next change. And doing these small steps, in my opinion, Ira, make it less scary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So people, we already know people are reluctant to change, but is there a biological part of people that, like a genetic programming or something for not to change?
If you think about it, your brain is a pattern-making machine. Every single thing we think about or do, we try to fit things into pattern, right? So if you meet someone, let's say a new business partner, you try to put them into a box. This is the business partner that whatever it is, right? Or if you see a person and you say, well, this is a nice person or a happy person, we put it into patterns we can easily understand. When we used to travel a lot to work, we used to go to work exactly the same way every single day. So we didn't have to really think about it. There's a mountain outside of my house here in Scottsdale where 2-3 times a week, I climb up the same way and I climb down the same way. So I decided to climb up the down way and down the up way. And I have to tell you, it blew my mind because it felt like a totally different hike. But it was just easier going on autopilot because especially, Ira, as we age, it gets more and more scary to make those changes. We'd rather just stay what we're good at.
Yeah. A funny story about that. This has nothing to do with people. This has to do with my dog. So we rescued this dog during COVID, and she's amazing. But I walk her around the neighborhood the same exact route all the time. So she got built into patterns. She knew if we took one particular turn, she would go get to see horses and rabbits and chase them. She knew it. And it was crazy because every time we get to that part, she would fight me tooth and nail to go that direction. And I wouldn't let her. She even got to the point where she's a herding dog. She would try to herd me and bite me in the butt until I took her that direction. So I didn't even know I was doing what you just said, but it was her biological programming. I just started walking her a different direction. Same neighborhood, but guess what? It completely changed the way she reacted. Mm-hmm. So it just shows you that that's not even a person and you can do that.
Right. And Ira, I'm not necessarily saying that patterns are bad. Patterns help us to survive. Of course, in your business, you need to have certain patterns so you can be productive. But when patterns are no longer profitable or productive for you, you have to really change them no matter what. Or as you said, or as Albert Einstein said, you're going to do the same thing over and over again and kind of expect different results. That's just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this, how can we use science to make these changes? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, there definitely is, because if you can learn new habits, like what you were talking about with your dog, if you can take a different path, eventually your brain creates a different pattern, a new pattern that they're just as comfortable with. But you have to train your brain to do a new habit and kind of take the fear out of it. So, but it takes some initiative to be able to do that. And there is risk, just like everything else in business.
Yeah. And it takes time, right?
It does take time. I mean, I think, most people say, I love this expression. It says most overnight success takes 7 to 10 years, right? When you retell the story, it seems like this change was instantaneous, but there was a lot of risks and things were done incrementally. I mean, if you think about Netflix, the how the evolution of that company from mailing. Well, originally they were going to mail VCR tapes, but DVDs, right? Mailing to doing online to now original studio works. That company has evolved over a lot of years, and because they've been able to change, they're still around. Versus a company like Blockbuster, or if you look at a great example of taxis versus Uber and Lyft, one was able to evolve, the other wasn't.
You know, it's funny about Blockbuster. I was up in Oregon visiting my son up there, and we actually saw the last Blockbuster standing in the world, and it's basically a museum now. Pretty much is all it is. So it comes down to the fact, you know, this is sort of extreme comment, but it's like change or die. Because if you don't change for the, you know, and be constantly making incremental changes, the world will change around you.
And it's hard to sometimes make those changes. I partnered up a lot many years ago with the companies that produce the Yellow Pages. And it was hard for those companies to change because they were making so much money publishing the Yellow Pages, even though it was shrinking. It was hard for them to get into other software or search or something like that. So especially for the industry leader, Ira, that change is really hard. That's why you see a lot of innovation come from people who are not the industry leader.
Speaking of that, the Yellow Pages, no kidding. 2 days ago, I had the Yellow Pages delivered to my house. My mind almost exploded. I'm like, what are you thinking?
But there are some people that actually still use the Yellow Pages, certain demographics, believe it or not. But it is definitely a shrinking market.
All right. Those people need to get with the times. Let's move on.
They gotta make a change.
Yeah, let's move on. They need to make a change. But you know, I think in business, I think it's important, you know, you need to be able to change personally, right? But also you may have a team around you. And that's, I think, a different story, right? Because now you're trying to influence other people on your team to make a change. Like, what are some tips there?
Well, first of all, you have to practice the change that you really want to make, right? You have to show this to other people because a lot of folks in the organization will just mimic what you're doing, right? I mean, I really believe the leader of the organization is kind of like the mom and the dad. And if you come dressed up as Tron one day, they'll come up dressed as, you know, some other fictional, you know, hero because they're just mimicking what you're doing. So you have to show that you're willing to support change in the organization even if you fail without any penalty. You also have to have processes in place to support that change. You know, both you and I have worked in organizations where they really invited change and other organizations said, no, you know, we're not going to change. We just want to keep doing it the same way we did it because it's working. So it depends on what kind of leader that you really want to be. But if you don't mirror change, if you don't show it by example, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's lead by example, right? You know, I mean, if you don't lead by example, you can't expect people to follow you. Like I always talk to business owners, like if you don't know how to sell your own product, how do you expect your people to do it? If you don't know how your product works, how do you expect your people to know it? You've got to make those changes. You definitely got to make those changes. So, you know, what's the biggest change that needs to be made in every business? Like, is there like a single thing that they can?
I think it revolves around the couple areas I was talking about. Most people have problems with sales and marketing. They don't do marketing when they don't have an automated program to always be doing marketing. Because I'm a really big believer, Ira, that you actually can't sell anything. You got to be there when people are ready to buy. And that means marketing, right? It's also around managing people. That becomes a huge issue this year because you can't find people, you can't retain people. So how you lead and manage people is critical. And most of us were not trained to be managers. I mean, I was fortunate. I worked at IBM for 9 years. When I became a manager, they sent me away to a month-long charm school, right? And so I got to learn how to be a manager. Also, people have to look at how do they manage their money. Cash flow becomes increasingly important in a world where we're having problems with supply chain or we're paying people in organizations more. They got to think about, do they have enough money to pay their bills and how does that really happen? And then probably most importantly, the customer experience. You know, I mean, you worked for Nextiva. There was a lot of people that sold voice over IP systems, but it was the experience of working with Nextiva that really set it apart, made it amazing, that really enabled the company to grow. So you have to think about those areas and what changes you have to make. But a caution here, don't try to make changes in all the areas. You got to start with something really small. What do you think your biggest problem is? Think about what's holding you back and then start to make that change. And if you're able to make that first part of that change, give yourself a reward. We don't get enough rewards or prizes as we grow up, I believe.
Yeah, and it's like the old saying, like, you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? You've got to, you can't, you guys, I think everyone needs to understand here that change is it's a process. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, and you can't just give up, because if things don't work, tweak them, change them, right?
You try something else. I mean, you make a change, you see what works, what doesn't work, and then you try something else. And this is where your point of having a mentor or accountability coach, Ira, is really important. Because if you say you're going to make a change and then someone's going to hold you accountable for are going to make, because week someone's going to be asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's just kind of summarize kind of what we talked about today. Give everybody your golden nugget.
Yeah.
Of, like, if you take one thing away from this, take this away.
Change is hard. It's not your fault. Your brain doesn't want to make changes. We understand the fear around it, but the way to make changes is really, as I was saying, eat the elephant one bite at a time. Pick the one change you want to make, something really small. Figure out what is holding you back from making that change, and think about, if you're able to make that change, what are the real benefits to your company if you can make that change. Identify what the small change is. Talk to a mentor about holding you accountable, and see if you're successful. If you are, make the next change. If you're not, try to go back, think about why you failed, and repeat.
Awesome. So, honestly, Barry, this has been a great talk. I think it's important for people to look at their business a little differently, look at themselves a little differently. And I would challenge everybody who's watching this, start making a change today.
One small
one. Don't put it off. Don't get bogged down in the day. Shut your freaking email off. Shut your computer down, shut your cell phone down, and think about one small change you can make.
And if you keep making small changes, you'll get enough practice and confidence that you make bigger changes. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Now, Barry has his book's coming out soon. When does your book come out?
It's only been delayed 6 months because of supply chain issues, and it's coming on the 19th. And here's the really exciting part: that AT&T business has partnered with me, and they're giving away 1,000 free books. So if you're interested in getting a free book of Change Masters, contact Ira, and he can give you the information about where you can get a copy of the free book. And then if you get a free book, we're doing a free webinar on around the book, so you can attend that too, courtesy of AT&T.
Okay, that's fantastic. So 1,000 books that you're giving out. Dude. That's great. So if you're listening to this, or you're watching this, or you're on the audio podcast, wherever you're at, you're on social, hit me up. You can find me anywhere. LinkedIn's probably easiest, but if it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever, wherever you're at, just hit me up, and I will connect you with Barry, and you can get a free book, which is great.
They'll start to go out by the 1st of April, so it's going to be really fun. I'm glad AT&T partnered with us on this.
Yeah, and Mary says some of us low keys are freaking out. Ira just asked us to change something. Mary, I'm going to call you personally, because I know where to find you, and I'm going to make sure you make a change. But Barry, thanks so much for joining today. I have some other stuff to go through. I know you have a hard stop, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, and I'll finish up the live stream here.
Thanks for having me. Let me know I can help in the future.
All right, thanks. Bye. All right, everyone. So that was fantastic. So let's talk about some upcoming events that are coming. So on March 16th, we'll be doing Insights with Ira with Joel Warity. He's a chief marketing officer and brand builder. He's already built a massive brand in the food industry, and he sold that company for a lot of money, and now he's on to another brand that he's building, and he's going to be talking about how to build a winning brand for your business. I think a lot of business owners and people don't think about this, and you need to be. You need to think, what is my brand and how do I represent myself? It's what people hang their hat on. It's how customers make decisions on. April 6th, I've got Shama Hyder. Shama, she is amazing. She's the CEO of Zen Media Group. She was a speaker at NextCon at Nexiva one year. I met her there, and she is fantastic. She's going to be talking about how tech-driven business-to-business brands can increase their market share. You don't want to miss that. And then April 11th through 14th, I'm going to be in Vegas at Channel Partners. So if you're going to be there, some of you may not, hit me up. We'll carve out some time to get together in Vegas. Just remember, what happens in Vegas, most people say stays in Vegas, but it doesn't stay in Vegas. It usually gets out. Just look at some of the movies that have been out there about Vegas. So my call to action to you today is this. If you're a potential partner, let's say you have a technology consulting firm, and you want to work with somebody that's going to hold you accountable to making changes in your business and to drive revenues and to build your business exponentially, hit me up. I will be that guy. I already built a $100 million business. I know how to do it. So I can know how to scale and help you scale your business. So if you're in that market, hit me up. If you are not a technology consultant, maybe you're a potential customer of technology. Maybe you're the CIO or the IT director or the owner of a business, and you need somebody with an unbiased opinion to come in and help you secure a business telephone system, better internet for your office, credit card processing, cybersecurity, whatever you need. I can help be that unbiased person to vet out the vendors and bring them into you and then let you make your end decision. I would love to work with you on that. So with that, it is 11:26. We're gonna finish this 4 minutes early today, so you can go and start making your change. Do me a favor, hit me up on any of my social, anywhere, and let me know what change you decided to make. I really want to hear about it. I'm not going to bust your, what about it, but I do want to hear about it. I want to hear kind of how things are going, and hopefully we made a positive impact on you, your people, your business. And we left you in a better place after giving you this knowledge dump today. With that, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. And have an amazing day, everyone. We're out of here. Bye.